It's been another interesting a week to observe the world and see the um, the extraordinary levels of psychological manipulation that are going on, and that's really what this whole virus deal is about, and the Black Lives Matter phenomenon. It's about psychological manipulation. And if you continue, or we as a human race continue to acquiesce unquestioningly to what we're told to believe and what we're told to do, then forget freedom because it's going to disappear. To prevent that, we've got to stop acquiescing, stop accepting the the narratives from authority and the diktats from authority. Because the more that we acquiesce to more and more ridiculous rules that have no basis in even common sense, the more we become reflex action acquiescence that just robot like respond to input. And we've had another aspect rolled out of uh, this behavioral war on the human psyche in Britain with the introduction of compulsory face masks on public transport. It started at midnight on Sunday, and just as synchronicity would have it, I reckon I must have been on the first public transport that happened at the time when this compulsory mask thing came in. And I did an interview with London Real on Sunday evening, and then headed straight to the ferry terminal to come back here to the Isle of Wight to catch the ferry at 1 minute to midnight. And I wondered if they would introduce this whole mask thing on that boat, or whether they would just give it a miss and do it when when it got light, given how few people were on that boat. When I say few people, you'll see what I mean by few. And so I turn up at the ferry terminal and I hang around and I watch the ferry come in from the Isle of Wight, and I stand there and I watch the passengers coming off, no masks, uh, just walking off the ferry and going home. And then it was my turn to get on. Now, I'm the only foot passenger on the boat. There is no one else. They they have this system whereby if you it's a car ferry overwhelmingly, and but because they've shut down all the passenger ferries, passenger only ferries, um, you have to get the car ferry now if you want to get across. So anyway, they have this rule that if you are in your car in this pandemic crisis, then you have to stay in your car during the crossing. So the whole mass thing doesn't come up unless you get out of your car. So there's a very few vehicles. I think there's one truck, or maybe two. I only remember one. Um, and me, I'm going to be the only passenger on the ferry who's not locked away in their car. So I go to get on the boat, and it's about quarter to midnight by now. And the lady who's taking my ticket says, "Have you got a mask?" And I said, "No, I haven't." So she goes over and gets me one. And I said, what's all this about? She said, well, the captain won't let you on the boat unless you're wearing a mask. I said, I'm the only passenger who's not going to be in a car. Well, this didn't register because, of course, it's not about using your own mind to see the ridiculousness of a situation. It's, well, that's what I've been told to do. And this is how it works. You have these pyramids of top-down control. And at the top of the pyramid, globally and nationally, is the representatives of the cult, the global cult, in full knowledge that they're representatives of the cult. And as you come down the pyramid, what you go through is a sequence of imposition and acquiescence. So the cult in the shadows dictates to the next level of the pyramid. And at that level, they will know there's a cult. But very quickly, as you come down the pyramid, you're past that point. You're dealing with people who don't know there's a cult, who are just carrying out orders. So the way it goes is, from the top, impose upon the next level. Next level acquiesces to that imposition and then imposes that on the next level, which acquiesces to that imposition, which imposes on the next level. And so you come down the pyramids with this constant sequence of imposition, acquiescence, imposition, acquiescence. And then you get to the bottom of the pyramid, and you are looking at the general population of the world. Now, if the population complete the circuit by acquiescing to the imposition, then what they've done is they have created a circuit of acquiescence and imposition, which has allowed the few in the shadows at the top, the cult, to impose its will on the entirety of humanity. This was what's happened during lockdown and in so many other instances. So I listened to this lady because I wasn't going to put a mask on. It wasn't going to happen. And I walked down the ramp to get on the boat. And standing there in front of me were two guys working for the ferry company with these big tight masks on. So they are breathing in their own carbon dioxide all the way through their shifts. And the human body requires oxygen, not carbon dioxide. It expels carbon dioxide because that's not good for the body, but it's very good for plants. It's a lovely synchronistic system. What we expel, plants absorb. So they're standing there, and I'm the first one to walk on the boat. I'm the only one that's going to walk on the boat. Everyone else is going to go by car. And they said, you can't come on the boat, captain says, unless you're wearing a mask. So I said, well, first of all, you cannot enforce that because it's not midnight. And so that law and rule's not come in. So I'm going to get on the boat. And I walked past them. And I went up the stairs into the main lounge of the boat, where I sat on my own. No one else. Oh, I keep knocking now. What's going on? There's no one else, just me. And I knew the boat left at 1 minute to midnight. So by the time the boat left, the rule wouldn't have come in. And so what are they going to do? Throw me overboard or turn the boat round? No. So I knew it was going to be all right. And anyway, even if it wasn't all right, I wasn't putting a mask on and I wasn't getting off. So the boat pulls away, and about 10 minutes or 15 minutes into the journey's about 35 minutes, I'm sitting there alone, and the captain comes down. Captain of the boat comes down from the bridge, and he was a nice bloke, and we had a nice chat, uh, in which I pointed out that the rule was ridiculous, and I wasn't abiding by it. And he said, "Well, I do understand why you would think it was silly for you to um, wear a mask in an empty lounge when you're the only person." Well, actually, Captain, yes, I would. In fact, I'd go further. It's insane. Who am I protecting myself from? Myself. And when you chat with people and you start throwing the questions and making the points, they have nowhere to go because the rule is ridiculous, and what they're being told in this imposition acquiescence system is just do it. So what he said to me was, because he was a nice bloke, he really was. He said, "Well, I understand why you won't wear a mask in an empty lounge when you're the only person, but when you're getting off the boat, would you mind putting the mask on when you walk off the boat?" And I said, "Look, mate, this is where I'm coming from. When you concede to stupid, you become stupid. So I'm not conceding to stupid. Now I'm being asked then to walk off the boat with a mask on when I'm the only one who's not in a car." Okay, you can't make it up. And So I said to him, "No, I'm not going to put a mask on to walk off the boat. I'm going to walk off the boat as I always walk off the boat. And by the way, as the people walked off the boat when the ferry docked in Portsmouth 20 minutes ago, or half an hour ago or so by then." And he said, "Okay," and left. And I walked off the boat, didn't go near anyone. The only two guys there were the same two guys who were working on the ferry. And I asked them if they had a union because they needed to seriously question the effect on their health of breathing in their own carbon dioxide all the way through the working day. And I walked off. And nobody died, and no one got coronavirus. Nobody. Um, because I refuse to acquiesce to stupid. Now, imagine if lots and lots of passengers on that ferry, ongoing, refuse to wear a mask. What are they going to do? People talk about, protest. We've got to protest. Well, we have protests galore all over the place. Unless the 1% supports what the protest wants, as with the divide and rule on the grounds of race of Black Lives Matter, funded by the 1%, then protests don't get anywhere. I remember I've seen estimates of anything from 500,000 to well over 1 million people on the streets of London protesting against the imminent invasion of Iraq in 2003. What happened? They invaded Iraq. So they're not really bothered with protests. In fact, they can manipulate protests. What they're terrified about is people not protesting, just ceasing to uh, acquiesce with their own enslavement. So you can, maybe it wouldn't happen. I very doubt it would happen, but you could have a protest outside Parliament or wherever, Congress. But in this case, with the mandatory masks on public transport in Britain outside Parliament, and you could demand that the rule be deleted, and you'll probably get nowhere. But if you have trains and buses and ferries with lots of people on, and lots of them refuse to wear a mask, then the law is unenforceable. You know, a train guard comes down a train carriage full of people not wearing masks. What's he going to do? Or she going to do? Nothing they can do. Can't enforce it. Oh, we'll call the police. All right, how many police you got? Well, we've got two coming. Yeah, it's a train full of people. We're not going to wear a mask. You know, and this is where the power lies. And I know, people will say, oh, yeah, but I've got to do this and I've got to do that, I've got to do that. Yeah, but, simply, I can't get across how far along the road to complete and utter tyranny we are. I mean, you would think it would be easy in the current situation, and vast numbers of people have started to look at the world differently as a result of all this, but still you've got vast numbers of people who haven't. They're still mesmerized by whatever they're told, and still mesmerized by obeying authority. So here we have a situation where the answer is staring us in the face, staring us in the mask. But people will not go about their business refusing to conform. They conform. And when they conform, they might conform thinking this is nonsense. They might conform thinking this is not good for my health, but they still conform. And while we do so, there's no way out of this. And yet the way out is obvious. Lots of people put masks on, think it protects them. It doesn't protect them at all. It damages their health. I mean, if you are, having crap come out, it won't be COVID-19, but, some form of infection, and say it's caught in the mask, because, bacteria would be, viral particles won't, they're too small. Then you've got a face full of bacteria. And at the same time, you're breathing in your own expelled carbon dioxide. And doctors that you'll never hear in the mainstream media have pointed out how detrimental this is for health, in terms of not least causing respiratory disease. And when the respiratory disease manifests cumulatively, what they're going to say it is COVID-19. And there's a story here about masks, which is headed, Do Masks and Respirators Prevent Viral Respiratory Illnesses? And it quotes Dennis Rancourt, an eminent physics professor, and he examined the scientific evidence for using face masks and respirators as preventative of contracting respiratory influenza-like disease or respiratory illnesses believed to be transmitted by minuscule droplets. And Rancourt, the article says, is wedded to the evidence and not afraid to make his own conclusion, even if it goes against the mainstream consensus. And he wrote an article called Masks Don't Work, a review of science relevant to COVID-19 social policy, in which he said, no randomized control trial study with verified outcome shows the benefit for healthcare workers or community members in households to wearing a mask or respirator. There is no such study, and there are no exceptions. And he goes on, if anything gets through, and it always does, he says, irrespective of the mask, then you're going to be infected. Masks cannot possibly work. It is not surprising, therefore, that no bias-free study has ever found a benefit from wearing a mask or respirator in this application. Because even if people believe there is a virus, I blatantly don't, as I've been saying for months, called COV2 and its expression COVID-19, uh, then viral particles are beyond minuscule. And the masks, the pores in the mask, um, are far too big to stop them coming out. So there is no reason to wear a mask, even if you believe that the virus exists. And when you look at the infection to death figures, the chances of dying from this, even if you believe it exists, are minuscule. Uh, again, and this mask rule, and I'll tell you what they want to do. They want to make it compulsory to wear a mask in public places. That's where they want to go. We decide if they go there, but the signs are not good in terms of the great numbers of the population just doing whatever they're told. And I won't wear a mask in a public place, even if it becomes law, so they can do what they like to me. I ain't got to do it. So this mask rule is nothing to do with health. Whole social distancing, lockdowns, nothing to do with health. It's to do with control, and it's to do with behavioral manipulation, and it's to do with driving people apart. How can you have a human discourse and a proper human reaction with someone with a mask on? You can't. I mean, I can't look at people walking down the street wearing masks without fricking laughing. I'll be honest with you. I think it's hilarious. You know, in the bright hot sunshine, when even if there was a virus, it would be dead and buried by the sunshine alone. I see people walking into supermarkets with these big frickin' tight masks on, in the process of putting on surgical gloves to go frickin' shopping. This is the scale of behavior control and perception control that's gone on. And in the words of one cancer specialist in Britain, people are now more frightened of COVID-19 than cancer. Another story regarding masks, a transport company was asked, who's going to enforce this compulsory mask? And they said that the police would have to do it. And it says, this company said it's not the job, a company called Nexus, it's not the job of Nexus employees to enforce government public health instructions ourselves, but we will have a key role to play in supporting their introduction as we seek a COVID secure environment that our customers feel happy and comfortable using. Again, here's that sequence: imposition, acquiescence. And it's not just imposition of behavior, it's imposition of perception, which becomes behavior. So this company has bought the idea that COVID-19 is a deadly disease when the figures absolutely show it's not, especially when you take away all the positive tests from a test that's not testing for COVID-19. They just tell us it is. And you take away all the fraudulent death certificates which have COVID-19 on when people have died of something else. You take that away, and you're left with zero, basically, in terms of numbers. But it doesn't matter. The authorities have said it's a dangerous disease. even though the official figures are that it's less dangerous than the flu. And they bought it, this company, and so they want to help to provide a COVID secure environment. Well, why do they never provide a flu secure environment? Huh? They won't ask these questions because it's like, I am a Dalek. And so they're saying, this company's saying that the police have to enforce this. So what about all the crimes going on in the community while police are policing whether someone's got a mask on? By the way, I kept the mask that the ferry lady gave me. And I kept it because it's a bit of an historical item. That must be the first compulsory mask to be issued in Britain. It has to be at 20 to midnight, um, before it came in at midnight. And I kept it because even as masks go, it's absolutely bloody useless. Oh dear. We are, we're not, there are so many have woken up to it all, but those that have not are just sinking into pure insanity. And it's all systematic. There is an organization which operates out of the UK Cabinet Office, and it works worldwide, operates worldwide, operates in American cities, advises governments in America and in other countries. It says remember one quote that it's operating in or has operated in 131 countries, and it's called the Behavioral Insights Team. And it's part of a massive web of interconnecting organizations, which actually connect into the organizations that have claimed credit for having me deleted from Facebook and YouTube. Because, of course, if you're going to control perception, you have to control information, and therefore you have to stop information that's going to give people the opportunity to have a different perception.